Well, hello friends and welcome back to my channel. I'm Renee. And I've got a couple things going on today, but first I got to have some coffee. Oh boy. A nice cup of coffee. I'm getting some hot soapy water in my sink. We've got a couple things going on. I made this freezer meal with sausage, and I got a big old bag. Sausage and all kinds of vegetables. Just a healthy freezer meal. And I figured it would be good for a sheet pan dinner, which it would be. But also today, I was in my freezer and I thought, I need to get this used up because I've got it in a regular freezer bag. Just a Ziploc bag. It's not a vacuum sealed or anything. Got enough water in there. So I'm going to make some soup with it. And that way I can just, you know, work on that soup over the weekend. So we're going to make some soup with that. Real simple. There's smoked sausage in there, so that'll be my meat. And then nothing but vegetables. It'll be divine. And then I'm going to show you, I've had a lot of people ask me about making bread. And a few of them have said they would love to be able to make yeast bread, but they're kind of intimidated by it. So I'm going to take you through. And I know that there's so many of you on there that are just probably better bread bakers than I am. But this is for those who are intimidated by it more so than anything. We're going to go step by step, and I'm going to show you how to make the easiest bread ever. And no, it's not a no-knead bread or anything like that. It is my Amish white bread recipe, but it really is simple. And you can use that bread dough for cinnamon rolls, for Amish bread, for rolls, you know, several different things. It would even make good hamburger buns. You just tweak it a little bit. Anyway, and also, I don't know if you can see this. I've got to bake off this bread. I'm going to show you that. That's going to be another video though. I had some leftover sweet potatoes. So I made a sweet potato yeast bread. And we've got to get that in the oven. I just kind of, you know, winged it on that one. More like an experiment than anything. So I got to turn my oven on because I want to get that baked up. My husband is home. Mr. Wayne is here, so he can taste it for us. And that is going to bake at 350. And if this turns out really nice, I'll share this recipe because I'm sure you'll like it. All right, so we're going to get this going first, and then we'll work on the bread. Okay? I'm going to put a little olive oil in here. Now, you could use a little butter if you want, or ghee, anything, but I'm using olive oil. I'm going to turn that on, and I'm going to let that pan heat up. I'm just going to put the lid on that and let that heat up. Oh my goodness, my coffee tastes good. Tastes so good. I haven't had a chance to get into organize my freezer yet. Oh boy, that's going to be a job. I've got all kinds of freezer meals in there. It's just beautiful in there, really, because of all the quick freezer meals I got going on. And oh, I just got to get it organized. I got my cake that's in there that I have to, that's all froze. I have to get it out and, you know, package it up in single packages. And by the way, Tracy came over yesterday to have a cup of coffee and a piece of carrot cake, and she loved it. She said it was darn good. And that I probably shouldn't serve that to anybody else. She'd need to take that home so nobody else has to suffer eating it. She's a hoot. All right, I'm sure this is getting warmed up in here. This is my big Dutch oven. It's not a big one. This is a 5-quart. And then I've got a 6-quart one. So this is my 5-quart one. I'm not going to use all of this. I'm probably only going to use half. I want to feel that oil, see if that's getting hot. And it's not quite hot enough yet. I want that nice and hot when I put that in there. Yes, it's frozen, but I'll just let it saute. My grandma taught me that when you make soup, if you saute your veggies first, it has just a much better flavor. So that's what I always do. I always try and saute things first. But this has, oh my gosh, I did a video on this too. This has onions and peppers and mushrooms and tomatoes and Brussels sprouts. Just all kinds of stuff in there. And if I need to cut any of this up after I get it, I'll just take my scissors to it while it's in the pan. It won't hurt anything. I got yellow summer squash in here too. Oh, I got all kinds of red onions. Beautiful. That will make a nice soup. And then I got a couple of jars. Now, I don't know if I'll use both of them, because I'm only going to use about half that bag. But I got 2 jars of my home canned chicken broth out, just in case I need it. And then I'm going to get my spices out. I got my pepper out and my salt. So that's probably getting warm. Yep. Let's put a little bit more in there. I want a couple more pieces of the sausage in there. All right. I'll put the rest of this in the freezer. Back in the freezer. And I'll probably use it within the next couple weeks. I'll use some more of that. That's going to be nice. And when that heats up and unthaws, oh, I got a red peppercorn in there. Then I'll cut that up. I just take my scissors in there and zip through it. Works pretty good. Okay. Let's see. Let me use this one. I'll bring it in here and show you that. Okay, I believe you can see it now. It's going to do good. We're just going to let that go. See, I got big chunks in there, so I want to cut them up a little bit. And you know what? There is not a whole lot of veggies in there. I might just use this whole bag. Because what I don't eat, I can always freeze dry. I'm going to use the whole thing. There we go. It'll be gorgeous. And yes, you can do this. This is wonderful. You wouldn't even have to cut any of it up if you don't want. You have the big chunks. It'd be a nice hearty soup. This is a good and healthy soup. I don't need to season this, because I can see I got thyme and I got chunks of rosemary already in here. This is all seasoned up already for my freezer meal. So I don't have to put any more seasonings in there. But I do want that to saute up. So we're just going to let that saute. Our oven's going. I'm going to put these in the oven. These are beautiful. Let me give them a little bit of a cut on the top. That way, the steam can escape. Okay, we're going to put these in the oven. Those are beautiful. Alexa, set a 30-minute timer. That Alexa is a riot. How many of you, how many of your Alexas did I set off just now? I am going to cut the meat smaller. I think I can do that with the scissors. It might be too frozen yet. Let's see. No, I can cut it. That works good that way. Beautiful. My husband will not eat this. He doesn't like all these vegetables. There's mushrooms in it for one thing, and he won't touch mushrooms. So, I gotta cut that up a little bit more. Cut some of these vegetables just a little bit. It works. I'm leaving the mushrooms nice size. And the Brussels sprouts a nice size because I like them. But I am going to cut the peppers and the squash up a little bit. There. I got that pretty good. All right. That's going to be beautiful. Yep. That one I missed. This one I missed. Okay. Good deal. We got that. And we're going to let that saute. I'm going to turn that up a little more because I want that water to cook off there from them being frozen. Okay, friends, so while that's going, we will get our bread going. Okay? First thing I'm going to add to this is a tablespoon of yeast. I'll put that right in my bowl. Now, yeast, I store mine in the refrigerator. You can store it in the freezer though too. But don't let it stay out on your counter. Don't store it in your pantry. Now we need 2 cups of water to go in this. I'm just gonna feel that with my finger. My hands are clean. That's a little hot. My water is screaming hot. That comes out of my tap. I'm gonna take that temperature because this is doing really good. We'll get this bread mixed up and then we can get back to making the soup. Beautiful. I'm going to take this temperature. See, it's 118. We want that to cool down a little bit. That's too hot. That will kill your yeast. Quite possibly kill your yeast. Okay? So we'll just let this cool down a minute. And I'll talk to you about this yeast. I don't want any of you ladies out there that have told me you're intimidated by making yeast bread, please don't be. It's easy. Yeast is your good bacteria. It makes your bread rise, okay? But I learned a long time ago the easiest way to explain yeast and how it makes the bread rise is when your yeast proofs, you feed it a little bit of sugar, you put your water in there, it starts to proof. When you add your water and all your other ingredients, what makes it rise is basically carbon dioxide. But what it is the yeast, the little bacteria, start munching on that gluten. And in turn, they literally belch. And it makes your bread rise. Go figure. Don't be scared of bread dough. Don't be scared of yeast. It's easy. That's what you want. It's a good bacteria in there. So we're going to put a little bit of sugar in here, about a tablespoon. And I didn't mean for that to sound so loud, because this is probably ready to add our water to it. And then I'm literally going to bring you over here and let you watch this bloom. It'll be a time lapse, but I'll let you watch it bloom. I'll show you how you can tell your yeast is alive. Boy, that's hot. You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to dump this out just a little bit. Put some cold water in there. Okay, that's good. And it goes. All right, now we're going to give that a little mix. Now, I'm going to bring you over here, and I'm going to let you watch that proof, and then you'll see what I'm talking about. You'll see it start blooming and coming to life down in there. See it? See, it looks like it's growing. See that foam in there? That's blooming. And that, my friends, is how you know your yeast is alive. Okay, so with that, let me put this back in my fridge. I love baking bread. I have baked bread for years. Now, to this, we have to have salt and oil. The only thing you really need to make bread with is water, yeast, flour, and salt. If you don't put salt in it, your bread will literally be tasteless. You don't even need to have sugar in it. That is just added for extra flavor and also feeding your starch. Okay? So we're going to add a 1/4 cup of oil, and I'm using olive oil. Put it right in there. Very, very easy. You can use vegetable oil. You can use canola oil. You can use all that. Now, I'm going to start adding, oh, I do want my sugar in here because my white bread recipe calls for a little sugar. Only about, not quite a 1/3 cup I put in there. Little, like between a 1/3 and a 1/4. 1/3 cup's fine. Okay. Now I'm going to start adding my flour. Calls for 6 cups of flour. I like to do 5 cups and then add more as it's needing. Most of the time I do this in my my mixer. 1, 2, 3, because I've got, you know, arthritic hands and it just gets hard to do this. Okay, so there's 5. We're going to start with 5. I do have, and salt before I tell you that. We need a teaspoon of salt. And I just throw that right on top of my flour. It just depends on who you're asking about. A lot of people will tell you if you add your salt and your yeast together, your salt could kill your yeast. And then I've had other people tell me it doesn't make a difference. So all I do is just throw my flour in first and I add my salt last. That way I know for sure it's safe. Now I got my little Danish dough hook here. And we're going to start mixing this. And I'm doing this way so that those of you who want to learn how to do this can follow me easily. You just get it mixed until it starts to come together. Okay? I'm going to take my rings off because I don't want that all jammed up in my rings. I'm going to get a drink of my coffee. My coffee's so good. Oh. We'll give this a stir real quick. I'm going to turn that off for just a minute. All right, let me wash my hands. Okay. I'm going to alternately put that out on my table. I just get it off my dough, or my whisk, my dough whisk. All right, now I'm going to put just a little more flour in here, and I'm going to just start kneading this in the pan. I'm going to bring this up, which means, friends, you won't see my face, but I want you to see what I'm doing in the bowl. Okay, see, it's like a shaggy mess right now. I'm just going to start kneading it. Just turn it over itself and push down. See that? Beautiful dough. It really doesn't need, I don't think it's going to need any more flour. All right. Look at nice clean bowl. Pretty much clean bowl there. We're going to put a little of this out here. We're going to move this bowl. And we're just going to knead this. And when I knead, I just bring it over itself. Turn it. Bring it over and push. Bring it over and push. And you want to do this for about anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. You want a nice, soft, supple dough. And if it starts sticking to your hands a little bit, friends, all you've got to do is run it in a little more flour. I just roll it around my table like so. See, mine's getting a little bit sticky, so we'll do that. See, just roll it over itself. And if your hands get tired, just cover it up and walk away for about 5 minutes. It won't hurt a thing. Let that dough rest a little bit and come back and knead it some more. Don't be afraid of it. You can take your frustrations out kneading dough. And I'm doing this slow so that you can follow along with me okay. It's going to need a little more flour. Okay. And you want to stretch that dough. You've got to get your hands right in there and stretch it. Push it down. Fold it over. I need a little more dough or a little more flour. Just put a little bit on at a time. You don't want to add too much flour to it. Then you'll have a dry, dense loaf of bread. You want it nice and soft. See that? And it's starting to get there. All right. I'm going to get this kneaded all the way. I got a few minutes to go. Actually, I'm going to set it right there. And I'm going to cover it up for just a few minutes. Give my hands a break. And we'll finish working on our soup. Let me wash my hands off. This is all nice and sauteed up. There's that beautiful juice in the bottom of that. I decided not to get rid of that. I'm going to save that. Okay. Right here I got my, if I can get this open. That's my home canned. Yeah, I don't need two. One's going to be good enough. It's my home canned chicken broth. That stuff is wonderful. Now, you could cook I never add noodles to it because I don't want the noodles to get mushy. I don't like that. I'm just going to let this cook on low. Just simmer in this pot. And I may put some, in fact, I think I will. I'll turn the camera off. I'm going to go get some black beans. And I'm going to put some black beans and some garbanzo beans in here. And I probably will make a little bit of brown rice and just add it to my soup as I eat it, because I don't like the rice to get mushy either. Let me go get the black beans and I'll be right back. Okay, I got my can of garbanzo beans. And I've got, oh Kitty, I'm not opening tuna fish, you silly. And I've got black beans, and I've got Charlie down here thinks I've got tuna fish or something. What are you doing? I'm going to rinse these off real quick. Give them a nice rinse. I know a lot of people put the juice right in their soup with the beans, but I don't like that. I like to rinse mine off. Okay, we're going to dump those in there. 1 can of each. These are going to be gorgeous. Isn't that beautiful? I got to check my bread. That bread's going to be wonderful. I'll have a slice of that bread with my soup for dinner. So you can see that. And that is just gorgeous. So I am just going to leave the lid on here, and we're going to let that simmer. Okay? Okay, now we can come back to this. I'll clean that up in a minute. And we can finish kneading this. And that's getting nice and soft and beautiful dough. Gosh, nice dough. I probably have to knead it a few more times because it's beautiful. When I used to make bread when my kids were little, I made bread all the time. I made my bread. I've been making bread for 30 years. Yeah, since I was in my 20s. At 30 some years. And I used to make I'd had mounds of dough. I'd be kneading just a huge, I'd make 6-8 loaves at a time. Okay, this is nice. No, maybe not. Let me do a little bit more. Let's stretch that out a little bit. There we go. All right. And I'm just going to roll it in a little circle, and I like to stretch that a little bit. Stretch that top. Okay. We're going to put it right back in our bowl here with some oil. Oil up your bowl. You can spray it with cooking spray if you want to. It doesn't matter. I'm going to roll this around in here. Flip it over. Make sure the top is nice and oiled. Actually, I'm not going to use that. I'm going to use my shower cap. My shower cap just barely fits over this big bowl. And that's it. That is going to sit in a warm spot, which my kitchen is warm, for about, I'd say about a good hour and a half until it doubles in size. And then we will take it out. I'll show you how to shape it and put it in your bread pans and let it rise again. Okay, friends. Our bread is done. Look at that gorgeous bread. I'll fix that in a second. Oh my goodness, this turned out beautiful. And after it cools just for a second, I'll be able to take it out of the pan. I gotta put a little, I love putting a little bit of butter on my bread after it comes out of the oven. Get some on here. Oh, that's just gorgeous. There we go. I don't slather it too much. Oh, it smells divine too. Now this was totally an experiment with bread. And I didn't follow anybody's recipe. I modified my Amish white bread to make this. And as soon as I'm able to cut into this and show you, then you can tell me if you would like a recipe or a video and the recipe on this. I will definitely do that. Okay. Let's give this just a little bit more. I'm only getting little bits on my brush. There we go. That's a nice bunch. Okay. We will just let that sit for just a minute. I've got that. I'm turning this off. Ooh. That is done. I'm not going to cook that anymore. I'm going to move it right off that heat. Let it sit right there. Cool off. Oh yeah, this turned out good. All right, we're going to flip this out of here. Look at that bread. Isn't that gorgeous? Really, really soft. It's very soft bread. But I did put milk and eggs in it. And milk and eggs are what gives you real soft bread. Okay? Okay, so we have to let this rise for about another hour. It's been about a half hour now. And then I will be back. By that time, this bread will be cooled off. And after we get this in the pans and on their final rise, we'll cut into that bread and check out the soup. Okay, we're going to cut into it because he's over here drooling. He come in the kitchen and said, "Oh my, what smells so good?" It was my soup. I said, "You won't eat it. There's mushrooms in it." You don't want the schnitzel. I'll take the schnitzel, okay? Oh, that bread's soft. You want 2 of them?
Yes, please.
Oh, look how hot that is. You better come over and start buttering it. Don't rub it too hard. You'll rip it.
Hi, friends.
My husband could make a meal out of bread. So we're going to try this. Look at that crumb. That is gorgeous bread. This was not a recipe. I tweaked my Amish white bread recipe to make this sweet potato bread. It'll melt. Put them two together. Put a gob of butter on there and slap them together. Watch. It'll melt it. There. I gotta have a little bit for this one. You want a little bread with your butter? Okay. Hang on, you gotta taste it out here. All you gotta do is just go like so. Here. There you go. All right, here we go, friends. We're gonna taste the bread. Mmm. Mmm. That is soft.
Mmm. Good.
You like that, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Nice and soft. Mm-mm-mm.
Good.
I like it. You're gonna go sit. you're gonna go sit and eat. He'll be back up when he's done with that. Mmm. Oh my goodness! I shouldn't sit here and stand in front of this camera and eat this bread, but it's fantastic. And I wrote down what I did, how I tweaked it, how I made it into oh gosh, is it good? Sweet potato bread. If you want to know this, I'll do a video on it. That really is good. You can taste that sweet potato. I'm going to tell you a story. Hold on. I'm just chowing on this bread. Oh, and it's so good. I didn't get my coffee. Okay, years ago, I was making goodies for a bake sale. It was during Coatnish days. Oh, it's had to have been 25 years ago. Anyway, I made my bread. Now, I didn't do any potato bread. I just made my regular Amish white bread. And I made whole wheat bread to sell. But at that point in time, I used to knead the dough, and I'd do, 3, 4, 5 loaves at a time, 6 loaves at a time. So I had a big thing of dough going. Well, I had my bread in the oven. I took it out of the oven. My buddy was there, and he was sitting at the table, my kitchen table, talking to me at the time. And I took my bread out, and I sat on my counter, and I turned around to take the other 2 loaves out, and I turned around, and there was one missing. And I'm looking on the floor thinking, where'd that loaf of bread go? And I looked at my buddy, and he had taken that whole loaf of bread, sliced it in half lengthwise, slathered it with butter. He's in my dining room just slathering the butter. He ate that whole loaf of bread. And he says, oh my gosh, I can't believe you make it from... And he's like this. He's like, you make it from scratch. I can't believe it. It's so good. It was good bread. All right, friends, so I'm going to show you. This is doing good, too, over here. It's got about another half hour to go. A little bit. I'll move it over here. Well, I don't want to put it on top there. It'd be too hot. But I'll move it over there where it's a little warmer from the oven. I'm going to show you the soup. Okay, let me take this lid off here. Oh, that is just gorgeous. Beautiful, beautiful soup. I'm going to have some soup with the other little bit of my bread. Okay. Here we go. Oh, I had to run away. Okay, take a look at that soup, friends. Isn't that gorgeous? And I know it's good. My husband even come in here and said, "What smells so good in there?" Okay, so I'm going to go have my soup and the rest of my bread, and then we'll come back and we'll get that other bread done. Okay, friends, this is risen beautifully. See that? It is ready to go in the pans. And we're just going to bring it right out of here, and I'm going to flatten it down. I'm going to kind of get this in half as best I can. Okay. All right, so now I'm just going to put it in a circle. That's when I flatten all the air out of it. Okay? And then I'm just going to roll it up. I already greased my pans. I did that over my sink. Just flatten it down and get the air out. And I just roll it. Nice and tight. Fold the ends a little bit. You can pinch if it needs it. Get it as even as you can. And that's it. Now, we're going to put this back over here because this is going to have to rise, I'd say about another 45 minutes. It's tedious, but it's well worth it. Okay? That is so easy to do. And I don't want anybody to be afraid of making bread, because I'll tell you, when you make your own food, when you make your stuff homemade, you know what's in it. And store-bought bread, no, it does not. Or homemade bread doesn't last as long as store-bought. But that is because, in my paper towel, that is because it doesn't have all the additives and preservatives in it. So mine, I slice my bread and then I put it in the freezer, or you can keep it in the refrigerator. It'll last in the refrigerator for a while. But if you just leave it out on your counter, it will start to mold within the first few days. And that's just because there's no additives or preservatives in it. So it's way healthier than store-bought bread. And it tastes so much better. So that's what I do. I slice mine, like I said, and I keep mine in the freezer and just take it out as I need it. So we're going to let this rise for about 45 minutes, and then we're going to get it in the oven, and you'll see just how wonderful it turns out. And hopefully you're making bread with me, because if you kind of follow along, those of you who are a little leery of making yeast bread, you'll find out just how easy it is, and it's not intimidating whatsoever. So I'll be back when this is all risen up and ready to be baked. And by the way, my soup was fantastic. I'll tell you what, I did there's a video on this that I put together for the freezer meal. It makes good soup. It was intended for sheet pan dinner, but man, it makes good soup. Okay, friends, this bread is ready to go in the oven. You don't have to do anything with it, just put it in the oven. No egg wash or nothing on it. Set a timer for 30 minutes and it will be done. So when it's done, I'll bring it back and I'll let you see how beautiful this turns out. Okay, friends, our bread is done. Ooh, it's warm. Look at how gorgeous that turned out. Absolutely. And making bread is definitely not hard, just a little tedious. We're going to put a little bit of butter on this, because I like to keep the crust nice and soft. Not a whole lot though. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, it smells wonderful. Mr. Wayna. Oh, my head's cut off, isn't it? Mr. Wayna will be out here pretty soon wanting to get some, but he's got to wait till it cools off. Isn't that gorgeous? I just brush a little butter over the crust. Beautiful. Now, give me a few minutes to let this cool down, at least 10 minutes, and then we'll cut into it, even though it's warm. We'll cut into it and we'll try some. But we got to give it about 10 minutes to cool off. Okay, friends, this bread is done. You ready to try it?
Yeah, it's fine.
I'll keep the schnitzel. Oh, that's soft. Look at that crumb. Beautiful bread. All right. It's still really hot. I didn't have my cutting board out. Ooh, yum. Give that a try. Isn't that good?
Oh, it's very good. Very soft.
He likes soft bread. He could make a meal out of bread. And I like what my grandmother always called the heel of the bread, the schnitzel. Mm. That's my favorite. Tracy fights me for it every time. Mmm. Well, that's good and soft, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mmm. That's a winner. Mm-hmm. All right, friends. We hung out in the kitchen together. We made bread. Also, let me know if you want me to do a video on the sweet potato bread. You liked that, didn't you?
Yep, it was very good.
Mm-hmm. That won't last long. We made beautiful soup out of a meal that was intended for sheet pan dinner. Out of my and he even came in and said it was, what smells so good in here? Mm-hmm. I said, but you won't eat it. There's mushrooms in it. You don't like mushrooms. No, no. Anyway, we had a ball in the kitchen. Let me know if you want me to do a video on the sweet potato bread. And those of you who I did this bread for, who are a little leery of making yeast bread, yeast dough, go for it. Just keep pausing the video and we'll make it together. You all have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. What's that? Say bye, friends.
Bye, friends.
He's stuffed. He ate so much bread. Good though.